everyone. Welcome to the Women Are Worthy Network. Y'all, do I got a surprise for y'all? Well, for some of you, it's not a surprise because I put the flyer out and because I'm all about sharing is caring. That's what this whole platform is all about. Sharing is caring. So, some of you out there you have your platform, you have your brand, or you have content and you don't know what to do, how to create a brand. Okay, check this out. Okay, let me tell y'all, let me take a deep breath. Because when I say this woman's resume is long and strong, it is long and strong. We promise not to disappoint. So basically, if you're experiencing issue with branding and creating a content, guess what? I have the one and only Josh Stone, okay, the amazing. She's an award-winning brand content strategist. Okay, come a little closer. Let me say it again. She's an award-winning brand strategist and digital disruptor. Did y'all hear what I said? Did y'all hear me? Okay, this woman is bad to the bone. She's helped coaches build and scale authentic online brands. When I say she's seasoned. Okay, she's also here's a list of her clients. This is just a bit of her roster. Okay, she's helped companies like Coca-Cola, yes, that Coca-Cola, Delta Airlines, and NASCAR. I said NASCAR. Her thought-provoking content has been featured in Forbes, Huffington Post, ESPN, Black Enterprise, and Essence Magazine. Her core value is people over profits. Okay, who wouldn't want to work with her? She said people over profits. So now what I need y'all to do is grab your beverage, whether it's your sangria, whether it's your tea, whether it's your water, but most importantly, please grab your pen and your paper because right now she's gonna be dropping some jewels. The one and only Women Are Worthy. We are so proud and honored to have finally Miss Joss Stone. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing? Thank you so much for having me. Look, just for the record, for the people who don't know who I am, my name is pronounced Jay.
Jay Stone.
It's Jay. I want the new people, to come and get it right because everybody gets it a little mixed up. But it's Jay Stone. I'm excited to be here.
Miss Jay Stone, thank you for being here. And I've received so many emails about you being on I'm telling you, and I'm going to be totally transparent. I have one lady in particular, she did not want to ask questions in the chat because she didn't want people to know that she didn't know what she was doing. So can you please explain exactly what is it that you do for those who don't know that you're a brand strategist and how you help people to create content and to bring their brand to life?
Right. And so I think the first thing that we have to do is really talk about what branding is. And there's a lot of misconceptions around what branding is. Okay. Are you getting the echo?
No.
Okay. So it's just on my side. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm gonna fix that. Okay, that helped. All right. So let's talk about what branding is. I think there's a huge misconception around branding, right? The first thing people think of is they think colors, logos, photos, anything that makes me visible. But that's not brand. That's just the visual expression of it. Okay, so let's write this down really quick. Branding is the visual and emotional expression of a promise, right? And when we say promise, we mean promise of value. What is it that you promise to deliver to people, right? And so with Jacqueline, the promise is going to be that she's going to deliver excitement and quality content. That's why you guys tune in every week, okay? She's going to give you excitement. She's going to give you quality content and access to people who are not normally get access to. That's the promise of value, okay? The pretty little graphic that she sent around today, that's just a visual expression of that promise. So I hope it makes sense. It's a little bit complicated, but we'll break it down. The other thing that I think a lot of people don't know, let's just talk about the components of a successful brand. We call it a bankable brand. That means a brand that makes money. Okay. You've got to have clarity. That means people have to be really, really clear about what it is that you do and how you can help them. That's number one. Okay. Number two, you do have to have the creative side of it. That's going to be your logos, your colors, your photos. Those are important, but they're not the totality of it. Okay. The next piece is you're going to have um, content. Okay. That's why I'm a brand and content strategies. And we say content because that's technically your marketing approach, right? In order to have a successful business, people have to know who you are and how to find you. Okay. So we said content. And finally, the last piece is credibility, right? And credibility shows up in a couple of different ways. A lot of people think of it's visibility or accolades, and not necessarily. Credibility is just showing that you get results. Okay. So those four again are clarity, creative, content, and credibility. Okay. So now that I've kind of given you guys a general overview, I don't want to just hog up time giving you a lecture. I do want to answer your questions. And first of all, let me just say hi to everybody in the comments. I see comments coming through. I see comments popping up. So let me just say hi to everybody in the comments. Thank you for joining me.
And for those of you that are tuning in into the replay, please feel free to send the questions and I'll definitely forward them to her as well. But when I tell you she is phenomenal, she's amazing. So many of you may want to know, like, what's the connection? Well, I met her years ago when I think she you started a book, correct? You wrote a book. I think, yeah, you wrote a book. And I met this young lady and her personality was out of sight. And I wanted to be a part of whatever she was doing. So I volunteered my time and I learned so much from her. And she is a giving person. There's so many people that tell you that they'll help you with their content. They'll help you with your marketing. When I say this is true to the bone, this is true to the bone. This one right here, you got it. She's going to give you her social media, platforms and everything, so you can follow her, you can call her, consultation and things like that. But I want to ask you first, why did you decide to do this? How did you get into? You didn't wake up one morning and say, "Hey," because no one wakes up every morning and say, "Okay, I want to be on social media." How did you land into this particular platform?
Yeah, and it's really interesting because there are a lot of people out there that talk about branding and teach branding and teach courses on branding. And this is my career. I've been doing this for 28 years. Okay. And so that's the actual, when you read, oh, she has clients like Delta and Coca-Cola. I worked at Delta. I worked at Coca-Cola. They became clients after I left. And so that's what I did for them. Right. So this is a career in this. And in actuality, there was a time when I was trying to be an entrepreneur, I was trying to be baby Oprah, honey. I was out there just writing for Essence and just living my best life. And the thing that people kept asking me was, who did your branding? And I was like, well, yes. And it became the thing that people wanted from me most, which is a huge lesson. A lot of times we try to push a business or a brand because we feel passionate around it and it's not profitable. And if you want to be a full-time entrepreneur, you got to do what's profitable, right, in order to fund the passion. And so that's the thing that I had to learn. And so I started my career working in marketing at Hewlett Packard. I moved over to to Coca-Cola, which taught me everything about the visual brand, because Coca-Cola is the number one most recognized brand in the world. You can go to different countries and see that red can, right? Coke Red. And you can see that red can and you know what beverage it is. And so that's what taught me about visibility, visual brand, and brand recognition, right? And then I was working for Delta Airlines, and Delta taught about just the messaging, the promise, the expanding the brand across multiple platforms and things like that. And so those were just kind of some of the places where I cut my teeth. Well, fast forward, and we've got Facebook and social media, because again, I've been in business 21 years, but I've been in the industry 28 years. And there was no social media when I got started. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when Facebook came along, what I started to find, because the bigger audiences, the bigger businesses, bigger brands were my audience. But then when I started posting little things on social media, I found smaller businesses really were the ones that needed the help. They didn't clearly understand what branding was. They didn't understand how to position themselves. They didn't understand how to even create content, right? They didn't, because I was already blogging before Facebook even came about, right? And so they didn't understand all of these things that you can do to position yourself that are relatively low cost, but high impact. Okay. And so those small people, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, micropreneurs, started asking me questions, and I started to provide them a service. And that's when I made the shift from big business to small business, and really started to helping them. And then as YouTube got bigger and podcasting got bigger and things like that, and I was already in those spaces, it just made sense to start to teach people those things. So I know it's kind of a long story, but I've been around for a while.
So, and I like this. It wasn't long because what you're doing, like Miss Matthews said, she's learning from you. So, we want to hear the backstory. So, I don't want to use the word mistake. What's the number one misstep people make when they, okay, I have this idea. What misstep are people making?
Right. And so I'm really going to call a spade. I'm really a person that calls a spade a spade. I know people don't like the way it feels to say mistake, but I think the more that we get comfortable with things that are uncomfortable, the more we're positioned to grow. So I'm going to say missteps, mistakes, pitfalls. Okay. My number one mistake was really, really, really trying to build, after I'd already built a career on my expertise, I tried to make a shift to my passion because I really bought into, if you build it, they will come kind of concept, right? If you really focus on your passion and you get in front of the right people, your passion will pay you. And that's the messaging we got from the media. That's the messaging that we got from people in America that were successful at their passions. And it's really not true. I mean, I'm passionate about eating chocolate cake, but Duncan House ain't gonna pay me 6 figures just sit around and eat all day, right? And so there was the piece of timing and viability and things like that were missing. The thing I tell people always, and especially as women, we are very emotionally attached to our concepts, to our ideas, to our passions, right? And we want to force them to be profitable. Sometimes we need to create a segue. Sometimes we need to create a hybrid. Okay. And so what I tell people is become profitable first. Let the profit fund the passion and see if the passion can carry itself. Sometimes it can't. That's why you have nonprofits, because they're not really profitable. Other things have to fund them. All right. So just think of yourself as the funding source for the passion.
So with that said, and I hope everyone's taking their notes, okay? So with that said, how do you know? Because so many people, when you tell people, okay, I want to start a business and this is what I'm going to do, so many people are in your ear that sometimes it gets a bit confusing. The noise gets so confusing. Do it this way, do it that way. And then you find yourself doing it and you're so exhausted. So what advice would you give for those people out there?
Right. And so I think that that's valid. And so I tell people I have this process that I call, the single guru strategy, right? You got to find your guru and follow only that guru. Okay. One of the biggest challenges is you're not hiring a experienced business coach. So you're going to jump over here and get list building from that one. And then you're going to jump over here and learn blogging from that one. You're going to learn over here and jump on podcasting from that one. And then you don't have a clear business strategy. It's okay to do that once you get to a certain point. Okay. So the first thing you got to do is be clear. Who are you? Like name, title. Okay. What do you do? Most people can't clearly and concisely tell you what it is that they do.
Okay? That's true. That's true.
Okay. And then who do you serve? Right? Really get clear around the audience. And they be like anybody, everybody, women. It's just too broad. You got to get down to that niche. Once you get down to that, then and only then do you start to determine your marketing strategy. That's okay. You might not need list building. You might need a Facebook community. You might not need a Facebook community. You might need a LinkedIn profile, right? But if you know who you are, what you're doing, who your audience is, you can very easily go where that audience is. Don't start to try to just jump into whatever's popular or whatever's hot if you're not clear about who this audience is and where you can find them. That's when you say, okay, now I've got all that clarity, right? Now I know that I can get this piece from this person. But you got to start with that company, that the excuse me, the foundation of your business has to be solid before you can go learn anything from these other people. Okay, so that's one thing. And then go with the one guru, right? One guru. There is still, for most of my clients, I'm the person that they listen to. We create the strategy together. And if they need external help, I'll say, okay, this person is the person that I use for podcasting. This person is the person that I use for memberships. And why is it that they come to me for the referral? Because we've already built a plan that they bought into, right? And the person I'm referring them to is aligned with how I do business.
Gotcha.
My resources are aligned and we do business the same way. We have the same idea. So you're not getting competing information.
And that's important. Just like Miss Matthews, she wrote, I write, but it's kind of grueling getting republished. So I just want to post her
okay. So what do you write and why are you republishing?
So while she's, answering that, so when you mentioned guru, because I'm in Atlanta, right? And everyone's a guru in everything. You can, because I've had so many women call me, telling me I spent money on this person to market my company. I spent money on this person to help me, to go online, to start making money, and I've wasted my money. So can you, other than you, because I want people who are watching, if they're looking, and I know you're looking, because if you're watching, I need you to contact her. But how do they know? Like, can you just give some tips on the right person? Traits of the
I
right
think it is important to know how to find the right coach. Okay. The first thing is you need to be clear on what you need in your business. You got to have that clarity of that foundation first, right? And then know where your audience is and how to market to them. Okay. So that's the first thing is you don't allow other people to tell you what you need in your business. It's an internal thing that goes to external resources. All right. The next thing that I think that's going to be super important is don't believe what people say. Say it again. Don't believe what people say. Even with me, right? You don't have to believe what I say. Go ask my customers. Look at people that give results, right? So it's like, and so what I do is I look at people who might be doing what I want, or if they've got a podcast, be like, okay, how did you start your podcast? They'll say, oh, I went to this program. You're looking at the results for yourself. So don't believe what the gurus tell you. You could do this, you can learn that, you could do this. They should have demonstrated success at what they say they do. And don't look at their website and their testimony, because sometimes people make it up. They're lying. Talk to people. If you go on there and you see a people, be like, oh, I know that person. I'm going to go ask them. Okay. Ask people who have success. Ask people who you know. Ask people who you see. Who are you using? How did you get here? How did you get there? I see that you worked with Jay Stone. What was that like? Because people are going to tell you exactly what it's like to work with me. And I'm not afraid to refer you to them.
And see, and here's the thing too, because, I've had people reach out and tell me, hey, we want to help you do this. We want to help you do that. And my girlfriend experiences, she paid for someone to help her build her Instagram following, not buying, but to help her, they were strategizing. And I said, before you do that, look at it never dawned on her to look at that person's Instagram following. Okay. And she had more followers than they did. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's a red flag for me. If this is what they're saying that they can do. She said, Jackie, I never thought about that. I said, these are the things, if you're spending your hard-earned money, And it's hard-earned money nowadays, okay? Groceries, everything's up. You want to make sure what you're paying for, you're going to get. And again, and what I want my audience to know as well, you can spend money on wigs, weaves, makeup. So when someone quotes you a price, the first thing you're going to say is, oh, I don't think I can afford you. Well, you get what you pay for, at times. So you have to invest in yourself. That's what I want to leave the message with. You have to invest in yourself. So Miss Matthews said, my first piece, a novella, fictionalized with a reported vanity house. It took off in the market. They still owe her money. She digresses. I don't trust vanity outfits any longer, but it's difficult to get published via the main publishing houses, and I cannot afford to self-publish at this time, and would like to re-release that novella as part of my memoirs.
All right. So the biggest thing that you're going to have here is do you own the copyright, or does the publisher own the copyright for the book? Right. If you own the copyright for the book, what do you mean you can't afford to self-publish right now? Digital publishing is not expensive, right? I would go that way. You don't have to have physical books. I know people that make $10, $15, $20,000 a month off of digital books, ebooks. I mean, I've been listening to audiobooks, and audiobooks are a little bit more expensive to produce, but digital ebooks are
That's where I'm going. Mm-hmm.
To reproduce. They're very inexpensive to reproduce. Mm-hmm. So I would go that route, get your coins up, and then you can get into the physical books. And that's how I would go with it.
You mentioned something, and I'm glad, and I don't want to forget. You meant, how does one, I'm going to ask her, I got someone texting me, how does one make money while they're building the business?
So that's a great question. Okay. Because you do have to do it. So one, I will say, when you're in those stages of making money, people have a hard time marketing and doing fulfillment, right? Servicing the clients and marketing. And so I think the biggest thing that we need to look at is focus on make the main thing the main thing. Okay. So whatever in the business makes you the money, that's what you focus on. Do more and more and more of that, because the more money you make, the more free time you're going to have. Okay. So if you're making the money and you have free time, then you can start to do some of the other things like content creation and things like that. A lot of times people spend money doing the part of the business that they enjoy, and they avoid the part that they don't enjoy. And that's probably the thing that could be making them more money. And so I do want you to understand that the road to happiness is paved with discomfort.
Did y'all hear she dropped some jewels right there? Did y'all hear that? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the road to happiness is paved with discomfort. If you look at any Olympic athlete, they'll tell you how painful it was to exercise, to stretch, to push your body to the limit, the sacrifice in eating, time, putting their bodies on the line. But at the end, they get the gold. Okay. And so I think that people want the success without the sacrifice. And it just doesn't happen that way.
Mm-hmm. That's
okay.
So true.
And so the first thing I'm going to do is say, make the main thing the main thing. Focus on where the money's coming from, right? And then focus on the things that you really enjoy.
What is branding?
Oh, yeah. So what I stated earlier, the visual and emotional expression of a promise. Branding is your reputation and results primarily, right? And there's other pieces. There's 35 touch points to a brand, right? And so without going into it, it really is what people can expect from you in terms of your promise of value. Okay. I did want to say, because I did to go back to that question regarding making money. Sometimes the thing that you think is going to make you the money isn't the thing that makes you the money. And so when I say make the main thing, I'm going to dig into that a little bit more.
Yeah, please.
What is the thing that everybody asks you to do or help them with or to take care of for them? Because if everybody is asking you for it, like every day, every other day, somebody's in your DMs or somebody's in your phone or somebody's texting you and say, can you help me blank? The blank is where your money is. The blank is where your money is. And a lot of times, because that blank comes naturally to us, we don't think about it monetizing it, right? We don't think about monetizing it. So if we look at Jacqueline, talking to people, connecting with people, that's stuff that comes something that comes naturally to her, something she probably doesn't even have to think about. It's just, she's been doing it so long, it's just what it is. It never dawned on her to monetize that. She just wanted to help people. But guess what? Almost everything that you're really, really good at can be monetized because other people are not as good at it as you are. Okay.
Here's the thing, because I'm telling you, you can call the popo off because I've been stalking you. I'm telling you, I was stalking you. Okay? So here's the thing. I love, because I'm going to be totally transparent here, y'all, because y'all know how I get. So I was watching a couple of your videos after, a couple of years ago, and I started watching some more. And I was doing this thing for free. This is my job. This is my career, right? So I said, okay, so it's cute. I'm not getting paid. I want to give information out there. So I saw a couple of your lives that you do, rather. And because of that, people always asking me about, plant-based and holistic medicine and how I got my teeth white and all that kind of stuff. So I created an plant-based cookbook, recipe book because of you. Look, talk about your dividends later, okay? But because of you, and when I tell you that blew up, it blew up. It was digital because I said, no, I don't want to put the money into a hard thing. Not that, I just wanted to see how it was going to go. And it did really well. Then I have my Women Are Worthy network, my Women Are Worthy mugs. So I created, a product, and so it's so true because I'm like, wait a minute, this is my job. I can't keep giving out this information. I want to get paid too. And again, we have to understand our own value. If you don't want to pay for it, and that's the thing I think especially women have, they either will, and then you have your friends like, hey, can you give me a discount? No. When you go into Chick-fil-A, one of the most expensive, fast food restaurants out there, you don't go to Chick-fil-A and say, hey, can you give me McDonald's prices, right? You don't do that. So we have to understand people's value. This is our company. This is what we're doing for a living. We want to bring information to you, but you also have to fund what we're doing, whether it's a monthly subscription or whatever it is. So, and then you have to also teach your audience, teach your tribe. And that's what I'm learning. I got to teach them. And sometimes majority of the times they want to give, but they don't know. You haven't asked, you haven't, mentioned it to them. So for me, that's what I've learned. So when you talk about monetizing now, if I can do the kitchen sink, I'm doing the kitchen sink.
Right, right. And sometimes when we hold on to money, it comes from a place of, financial trauma, maybe at some point in our lives we didn't have. And then you start to hold on to that mindset of lack. And the more you feel lacking, like you feel like I can't do this, I can't invest, the more you feel like that, the less you attract the money and the opportunities. Okay. And so I think that it's important to really be mindful of how, that doesn't say, spend money on everything and everybody. But I know some people's like, I can't afford that. I can't afford it. But I see you taking all these little trips to the Riviera, right? And I see you with premium Beyonce tickets, right? And so people spend money on where they value. And so if this isn't of that kind of value to you, right? Because I've had people that are like, look, I want to hire you. I sold one of my designer purses. What she was going to get to build her next. And I'm not telling people to go hot.
Right.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying for her, that was more valuable for her.
People will spend money on what they feel they need to spend money on. They'll make time where they want to make time. So if you think about it, being with you, she sold a designer purse, but let's keep it real. By the time you get finished with her, she can buy 10 of those designer purses because that's who you are. And for the record, I'm letting y'all know I'm gonna be getting with her. Okay, so I'm putting it on the road. I'm out here now because I find you so intuitive. and you understand what it was like and what it's like. That's what I like about your content when I'm watching you on Facebook. It's not like, you're up here and girl, I don't remember. You do remember, and you know what it was like. And not only that, you may have not had that help, but you chose to help those that need the help. And you could be with the bigger companies, forgetting about the micro, the solo entrepreneur, and you want to give back and like, okay, come on, let me help you. And yes, she has to charge a fee. Come on now, she can't do it for free. She got to charge a fee. So with that said, when we're talking, okay, so we talked about branding, we talked about content. What other jewels would you like to drop? Because I want people to get the fact that you're on, they don't got like God knows how much out of you, right? What jewels would you like to drop? Because I definitely want people to support you by following your social media platforms, but more importantly, enlisting you and you having them as a client, because you are true to the bone, man. You are the real deal.
Right. I do think that watching other people on social media or online really does taint what we believe our just dues and our process is and what should happen. So I heard someone say it, and I don't quote me on who because I don't recall who, but someone said that don't compare someone else's final chapter to your prologue, right? So if you're in the beginning, you got the opening credit, you're in the opening credits of your movie, right? And you're comparing it to someone else's highlights and closing credits, we can't do that. And so there is a rigor and a process to success. There is. And I saw Miss Matthews, and she said, oh, our ancestors suffered enough in hopes that we wouldn't have to, right? And so sacrifice is not the same as suffering.
Please repeat that one more time. Yes.
Sacrifice is not the same as suffering. Okay. And so I do, because, and this is that rigor that I was saying that's just kind of required to get to. And why do we have that? It's because our greatest lessons come from pleasure or pain, right? Okay, those are our greatest lessons. And so sometimes, usually, there is a pain before the pleasure. It's just the nature of the beast. So it's not anything that we can do to circumvent that. Okay. And when you see people do things to circumvent that, it usually is something illegal. Okay. When they try to circumvent the process, it's something that's illegal or immoral, right? Or opportunistic, right? Because it's not the natural flow of how things go, right? And so I do want people to stop looking at, the reality TV stars and, the Instagram stars and things like that, because the other part of that is smoke and mirrors. It's like it's not real. It's not true. Some people just flat out lying, and then you find out later, you're like, oh, they was just lying, right?
They were faking it to make it, know. And I've seen so many, because I have watched reality stars, and a couple of my girlfriends, acquaintances have said to me, wow, Jackie, why aren't you here? Why aren't you there? I said, you know what? I don't need to follow what they're doing. Let me do what I'm doing. And I'm getting help, from credible people. I don't need to follow or to post half naked on social media, or that's not my brand. That's not what I'm here for. That's not who Jackie is. That's not, what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for the likes, clicks, and views and 1, 2, 3. And then the minute you tone it down, you're losing your audience. So then I'm going into another. I don't want to. So for me, in the beginning, I didn't have a clear definition. I know I'm good at this interviewing thing. I know I have the personality. I know I have the energy, but I was just all over the place. It was to the point where I was networking. I was doing so much networking. I was so tired going to all these networking meetings. And I'm like, oh my God, what a waste of time meeting so many people. And it was just ridiculous. It wasn't a waste meeting them. but I was just networking just to network. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so, and now I realize if it doesn't benefit me or the Women Are Worthy network, it's not worth it. I have my personal life, but if I'm going to do something that's business related, I'm sorry. This is transactional. I'm sorry. It's all about transaction. Okay.
And
I can
so
help you. You can help me. And I used to apologize for it. I'm unapologetic now.
And I think that that's important, right? But let's go back to what you said was your process. That process of networking, right? What did that do? It probably introduced you to a lot of people who would have never known you otherwise, right? It also probably created some credibility for you in the marketplace. Okay. And it helped you connect the dots. And so while you didn't see the immediate benefit in it, that ability to connect to people on a large scale very quickly is something that's been beneficial to you.
Well, let me interject here. There's networking and there's networking. I wasn't networking in the right spaces where I needed to be networking in. Okay. So let me put it, because networking is important, but I wasn't in the right space. If you only knew.
So you still got a lesson out of that, right?
Yes, I got the lesson. I did get the lesson. Yeah, I sure did. So then I knew how to pivot into the right networking space, because I'm like 7 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm there. And I'm like, wait a minute, something's not right. I didn't feel the synergy. So then once I started doing research to realize what networking space I need to be in, then the synergy came and everything. So yes, I did learn from that mistake.
Right. And I think that people don't want to make mistakes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And it's really our greatest teacher. It's really our greatest teacher. And so I embrace mistakes, missteps, because they gave me some very profound lessons. One of the things that I had to learn is, because, I'm a decent speaker, pretty dynamic on stages, I get asked to speak a lot. And I get asked, people speak about things that I'm passionate about. And here's something you guys should know, right? As you become content creators and things like that, I have a lot of people. At some point, I lost one of the messages in my brand is self-acceptance, right? Get in front of the camera, get in front of the video. It doesn't matter if you need to lose a little weight, or if you don't like your skin, or if you don't like your hair, you have to accept yourself for other people to accept you, right? And so people want me to come and talk about that. And they was like, yeah, I want you to talk about like self-acceptance. Yeah, I don't have a product for self-acceptance. I don't want to create a product for self-acceptance. I'm a brand person. That happens to be my message. Okay. And so I'm not going to come talk to you about weight loss or confidence. And I'm not going to talk to you about any of that stuff. I'm going to talk to you about building your brand. I'm going to talk to you about expanding your membership. I'm going to talk to you about those things that I make money on. Okay. Sometimes we are we're so excited to be seen. Okay. That we show up in spaces that don't serve us. So don't be so excited to be seen that it doesn't serve you.
Wow.
We're just starved for the validation, for being seen, for being acknowledged for all of our work. And sometimes there's no payday in it. And so I think that it is important to be strategic about where you're seen, right? And just make sure that being seen really has a value for your end game. And that's why it's important to be clear about that.
And when you talk about value, I don't want everyone thinking like values equates always money. It can transition into so many different things, because like you said, for me, I talk about relationships and eating well. Like if people want me to go out and speak, I talk about plant-based, and I'm doing a plant-based cooking show. And because I've been married, I've been getting emails, and people were like, hey, we'll pay you. And that's how that started. You're married. This year I'll be married 34 years. So people send me emails like, hey, can you give us some information? Can you give us some information? We'll pay you. We'll pay you. So that's how that started, So I'm like, okay, let me add that in that little bucket of things that I can do as well. Miss Matthews says, with Cherry on the 10th house. I'm scared to I guess be seen publicly in this context at all. Writers, most of us are introverts, homebodies for a reason.
I love that, Miss Matthews. So let's just be clear. You might not believe this, but I am a introvert to the point of being almost agoraphobic, right? I'm a huge introvert. So if I had to choose between meeting up with some friends and staying at my house and letting people come over, I'm people coming over. Okay. And so I was very committed to how I wanted to build my business. Right. I wanted to build it just like this, nothing else. And my limitations stopped serving me. Okay. And so my desire to reach my goal became bigger than my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what it was. I think that if I was not an entrepreneur, I might not be online at all.
It's so true because when I started podcasting, I started it on Blog Talk and I loved it because you didn't have to see me. Because I am, and people argue with me. My husband knows I'm an introvert extrovert. The My favorite place to go is the library because you can't talk. You have to be quiet. That's my favorite place. If it's a place like you said, going out, and people can't believe it because they're like your personality. No, usually people like this are introverts. Whether they believe they're introverts. So I'm an introvert extrovert. When the camera's on, blah blah blah. But after that, I'm like, no, I'm good. Let me put on some sweats. I don't need to be seen like in an audience or whatever. That's just me, except when I'm doing my thing. So I definitely agree with you on that. So Miss Matthews, Jay, can you please give her your information and I'll post it as well? And because I want her to contact you. Miss Matthews, listen to me carefully. And for all of you, because I know the after show, that's when this is going to blow up because everybody's eating dinner now and all that. I want y'all to contact her. If you have any questions, check out her consultation. I'm telling you, she's worth it. Y'all know I don't just be blowing smoke because everyone works hard for their money. I don't know how you make your money, but you're counting those coins. You're pinching those coins. So, okay, can we have your information?
Yeah, and so it's Jaistone, JAISTONE, everywhere. .com, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook. It's Jaistone everywhere. And so if you're interested in joining my Facebook community, it's called Brand and Hustle with Jaistone. It's called Brand and Hustle with Jaistone. It's a free Facebook community. And my main focus is service-based businesses, coaches, consultants, experts who provide services as their core offering. So that's the niche.
She said, I believe you. I'm here. I see. Look, when I tell you, Miss Matthews, when I say she ride or die for me, and the ones afterwards, I can't wait to see the comments for the after replays. But like I said, I'll send it to you, and I'll send you the final numbers. Today's Monday, by Friday, because I'll send it all out to everyone as well. First of all, let me say this to you, because so often we don't give people their flowers. Something has to happen before we give them their flowers. You, Miss Stone, yeah. When I say that you warm my heart, when I say it's great to see another African American who looks like me, giving out valuable information, being successful, sometimes just doing it, not even charging, okay, just to get some things out there. Now, mind you, she has to make her money. She has built up a reputation. She has the knowledge. Knowledge is power. Knowledge costs, okay? But I would just want to say thank you for being who you are. Thank you for your freaking professionalism. Okay. Thank you for constantly putting out great content and giving me ideas and allowing me to fly as well. Because at some point I felt like, what am I going to do? I'm not going back to corporate America. I refuse. I'm not going. And just listening and reading subscribing to you and getting information that has brought more content out of me. I thank you for that, because I'm telling you, I got some great things coming in. You have definitely inspired it. So I want to thank you.
Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And thank you for allowing me to be on your platform. This has been great. This has been exciting. Thanks for everybody who joined the chat, who will join later if you're watching the replay. And I look forward to getting your questions and hearing from you guys. This has been great. Thank you so much.
We want to thank everyone for tuning in. Please make sure you have a motivational Monday, turnaround Tuesday, wonderful Wednesday, turn up Thursday, fabulous Friday, soothing Saturday, and most of all, self-care Sunday. Don't forget about your self-care on Sunday. Before we sign off, what do you do for self-care?
Girl, I sleep.
Okay, that's it. And questions I have. One last question. Why is it important that women support each other?
Listen, don't make me go down the rabbit hole on this. All right. I think that there's a ploy, path that women have that is so unique to them. And the majority of, I think, you know, don't get it twisted. I follow a lot of men and I learn a lot of strategies from them. But what I find is that they're missing something in how they coach us. And a lot of times they are missing the social responsibility that women have, right? And that is, we're the backbone for our man. We raising our kids. Sometimes we raising our family members' kids. We got to go take care of mom and them and look out for the sisters, and then your girlfriend calling. And we are just the people who show up for everyone. So after we're done showing up, we still have to build a business. And a lot of the male-based industries, they don't get that part. There's nothing that we can say that's going to help them get it. So I think it's really, really important because one, the way that we have to show up to be successful is unique and different. Okay. And so it helps when somebody says, I see you serving and I'm going to pay you for it. Right. Versus you having to prove yourself in a very masculine way. Right. I think that for us, it's important to support each other because nobody else gets it. We get it. And because we have a very unique plight in these spaces, it's important to uplift and support each other. And, I'm very, very pro-woman in regards to serving and in regards to support. And that's just because ain't nobody else going to do it for us.
I second that, and that's why we call the show and the platform Women Are Worthy and the Women Are Worthy Network, because we are worthy. No matter who you are, we are worthy. Well, that our time's up, and we want to thank everyone for tuning in, and we want you to have a wonderful, wonderful week. So with that said, bye, everyone.
Bye.